Hey guys, what is up? It's Kat here, and I am so excited today because we are going to be doing our review of No Way Home. I'm kind of getting in a kick and enjoying these movie reviews after something big comes out. I did one for Dune. Now I figured I have to do one because this has turned into quite the event with all of the build-up and anticipation for this film. So I figured why not sit down and film both a spoiler and spoiler-free review for you guys. So without further ado, let's get in. This will be my spoiler-free review of No Way Home. So I think the first thing that came to mind when I was in the theaters was that this film felt so fresh compared to whatever I was expecting, or at least within the scope of more typical or familiar Marvel content. I'm guilty of using the word formulaic at times when it comes to Marvel because the majority of the time you at least have some sort of level of expectation, or at least know what to prepare for and have some idea of what is going to go down. This was entirely not the case at all for this movie. I literally went in and had no idea what to do, what to prepare for, how to brace myself. I was just, this I think has been the most open-minded I have been going into a Marvel film like ever. And that was an incredibly unusual feeling to be going into a Marvel movie and like not knowing how to prepare yourself, like even beyond more so than like Infinity War or Endgame. I feel like this was just whatever happens, happens. And this, of course, is entirely due to just the mystery and secrecy that has been surrounding this film and just the months and months of speculation that has been going on Twitter. If you are not on Twitter, good for you. I'm jealous. But this has truly been an ordeal. The buildup, just the search for leaks, the way that we have just been clinging to any sort of leak or snippet of information that got out like bees to honey. It's been quite the ordeal. And so I feel like with all of that compounded with the marketing and the secrecy and the buildup and the hype, like everything has come into this perfect storm of anticipation and excitement to the point that it's just like you have to go see this movie just to see it for your own eyes, like just to see what is going to happen. It just made for the perfect storm of excitement, but also I just allowed myself to go in blind and I did not go on my phone all weekend. I was like, I need to go into this spoiler free, just open-minded, ready for whatever is about to happen. And this film completely strips away the grandeur, the kind of like glorious, you know, the impressive accessories, the decked out Spidey suit that we know and of course love. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that with this Marvel Avengers generation Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Peter Parker. But it strips all that back and reveals the vulnerability that makes Peter Parker the young, relatable hero that he is as Spider-Man. A hero who has to learn the consequences of his actions as he's figuring his shiz out. We see just like an incredibly raw version of Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this film, and I feel like that was much needed for this character, to the point where it feels like a superhero like coming of age movie. Like this is no longer the same teeny tone that is present in Homecoming, especially a little bit less so in Far From Home, but still they're on the same page in terms of it's kind of a high school dilemma. It's like focused on his high school teenager angst, forced to reconcile with the weight of his role and his responsibility and his civic duty in spite of public scrutiny. Peter has to face the music in this film, and we see an entirely new dynamic of this Spider-Man franchise, which, as I mentioned, has been previously more lighthearted and juvenile. I don't want to use that term because that sounds like a weird word. More teenager based. That felt like more of the demographic, the tone. It was kind of like high school problems while trying to save the world. And this now boils down to actual real world tasks that Peter has to face. The high school teenager angst is elevated into a much more dire conflict here. So there is a noticeably darker and more mature tone for this film, unlike anything that we have seen previously in Homecoming or Far From Home, and it just completely raises the stakes for Peter Parker here in a way that we have not seen for his character yet. As I was getting ready to go to the theater, I specifically was thinking, you know, I love the humor and the lightheartedness of the Marvel movies, and I feel like that is especially the case with the Spider-Man ones, because obviously he has a younger hero, younger audience, different demographic versus, say, like Iron Man or Black Panther. You know, they all have different issues that they are dealing with, and of course Peter's are going to be more high school, lighthearted, teenager oriented, but I wanted something different from this film, and it delivers with a much darker version of not Peter Parker, but the issues that he has to face and the emotions he has to tap into in order to come out successful. This is him coming of age, and this is him turning into the hero that he is meant to be, and I truly feel like we watch Peter go from teenager to adult in this film with a much darker, heavier atmosphere that still carries the lightheartedness and humor that we all know and love with Marvel, but you can definitely tell that there is a different tone to this film. Even the score. The soundtrack for this was very unprecedented, I feel like, for a Marvel movie. I feel like I haven't heard music like this in any of the other Marvel films, but it totally lent itself to the higher stakes, the more intense issues at hand, and it was perfect. It like really helped set the mood. Like, he is not a kid anymore. Everything about this film felt unprecedented, not just for this Spidey trilogy here with Tom Holland, but for Marvel content in general. And as I said, I went into it really not knowing what to expect, and it delivered a completely new, fresh tone, mood, score, vibe, atmosphere, everything, and it was an incredible theatrical experience, and 1000% worth the wait. That was it. I'm really sorry if this was a poor, like, spoiler-free review. I never do spoiler-free reviews because it's hard to, like, not talk about what happens, so I don't know if I did this right, but that was just my brief little overall thoughts of the movie without divulging too much into plot. Like, I didn't want to say anything that could, I don't know what counts as a spoiler versus what doesn't, so if I played this a little bit too safe and this was just too vague, I apologize, but I just wanted to do something brief and more concise than a spoiler-filled, more in-depth review. So if you would like to check that out, I will have that linked. But I wanted to give something for everybody because I didn't want to be excluding people who want to watch reviews but have yet to see the film or don't have access to a movie theater or anything like that. So, but yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're all doing so well as always. And I will see you guys again very, very soon. Bye, guys.